Today we're going to be learning how to make a Valentine's Day cake roll. So I'm going to go in with my template and I'm going to use my disappearing ink pen to outline all the pieces onto my light pink felt. Once you have all those pieces outlined, we're going to go ahead and cut them out. Once you have the pieces cut out, move them aside so that we can start on the swirl of our cake roll. You're going to go in with your white felt and outline 2 of these onto it. Once you have them outlined, go ahead and cut them out, and then we'll start to stitch them to the sides of the cake roll. So when it comes to placing the swirls onto the side of the cake roll, what you want to keep in mind is that one swirl needs to be looking to the left and the other swirl needs to be looking to the right, so that when you go to stitch them together, they're all going in the same direction together and not opposite directions, if that makes sense. So once you have them placed, we'll go in and use our hot glue gun to tack it down so that it doesn't move while we're stitching, and then we'll go in with our stitches. So once you have the swirl glued down, we're going to go in with our needle and thread. We're going to come up from the back side of the cake roll along the edge of the white felt, and then from there you're going to drop your needle into the white felt and push it back towards the back side of the cake roll. Then you're going to move over just a little bit, do the same exact thing, come up from the back of the cake roll along the edge of the white felt, drop your needle into the white felt, push it back towards the back side, and you're going to continue to do this stitch along the whole edge of the white swirl. Once you do your last stitch, you're going to want to secure everything that you just did. So flip your piece over, you're going to run your needle through a little bit of felt, run your needle through your hoop not once but twice, pull tight to create a knot in the thread, and then cut off the extra. I forgot to record it, I'm sorry. But once you're done, this is what the front side will look like, this is what the back side will look like, and you'll need to do the same exact thing for the second side. Now we're going to start to outline our hearts for our cake roll. So I'm going in with my disappearing ink pen and I'm going to outline 6 hearts onto this red felt. I'm using the blue side of this pen because it tends to be a little easier to see on darker felt. So once you have the 6 hearts outlined, go ahead and cut those out, and then we'll start to stitch them onto the cake roll. From here, we're going to place the hearts onto the cake roll where we want them. I usually do 2 at the bottom and then 1 on top, and I make sure to give enough room in the middle of the cake roll because that's where the whipped cream's going to go, and I don't want to cover any of the hearts up. And you can decide if you want more hearts on it, you can put more hearts on it. You decide how you want to design it. This is just how I do it. But once I have them positioned where I want, I'll go in with my hot glue gun. And I'm just going to do a little dot on the back side of the heart of each heart. This just keeps them where they need to be and they don't shift or move as I stitch them to the cake roll. Now that we have them glued down, we're going to go in and stitch them. So I'm taking my needle and coming up from the back side of the cake roll, and I'm coming up along the edge of the red felt. And then I'm going to drop my needle into the red felt and push it towards the back side of the cake roll. And then I'm going to move over just a little bit, come up again along the back side, along the edge of the red felt, and then drop your needle into the red felt to push it towards the back side. And you're going to continue this stitch along the whole edge of the heart, just connecting it to the cake roll. And then when you're done, we're going to want to secure everything that we just did. So we're going to flip it over and secure our stitches. I usually won't jump across to the next heart because sometimes on light felt you can see the strings through the felt. This time you can't really see right there, but I usually will cut it off. So I'll run my needle through a little bit of felt, run my needle through that hoop, not once but twice, pull tight to create a knot in the thread, and then cut off the extra. From here, you're going to do the same exact thing for the remaining 5 hearts that you have. Once you have them stitched, this is what it will look like in the front, this is what it will look like in the back. And now we're going to attach the sides to our cake roll. So we're going to be stitching it along the long side of the rectangle. So we're going to match up our corners. We're going to take our needle and go between the 2 pieces of felt. We're going to push it towards the back side of the cake roll, come up and over the edge. Then you're going to push it through the side of the cake roll, come up between the 2 pieces, and then pull tight. You're then going to push your needle through both pieces of felt, run your needle through the hoop, and pull tight. This is the beginning of your blanket stitch, and you will continue to do this stitch along the edge, connecting the side to the cake roll. Just keep in mind as you go to make sure that your edges stay together, that they line up, so that by the time you get to the bottom corner, it will look something like this. Once you do reach that bottom corner, we will want to secure everything that we just did. So you'll run your needle through your hoop, not once, but twice. Pull tight to create a knot in your thread. And then from there, you're going to run your needle back through the cake roll and then cut off the extra. When you're done, this is what it will look like. And then you're going to want to do the same exact thing to attach the second side. Once you're done attaching the second side, this is what it will look like. Both swirls are going in the same direction, which is what we wanted. And now we're going to add some cardstock before we start to sew up the bottom of the cake roll. So you're going to take your template and you're going to outline 2 of the side pieces onto a piece of cardstock. And then once you have those outlined, go ahead and cut them out. And then from there, we're going to take our hot glue gun and glue them to the inside of the cake roll. I use cardstock on the side of the cake rolls to make sure that it holds its shape. This also helps with making sure that the polyfill doesn't make the felt food look all lumpy and bumpy. So once I have those glued into the sides, then we're going to move on to the bottom of the cake roll. With the bottom of the cake roll, we're going to do the same thing. We're adding cardstock to it. So you're going to take your template and outline it onto a piece of cardstock. Once it's outlined, go ahead and cut it out. And then we're going to go in with our hot glue gun and we're going to glue it onto the felt. Once you have that outline, we're going to move on with connecting the base to the cake roll. So from here, we're going to start with this shorter edge of our rectangle. We're going to start on the corner. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go between the 2 pieces of felt, push it towards the outside of the cake roll, hide your knot at the end of your thread, and then you're going to come up and over the edge, push your needle through the bottom of the cake roll, come up between the 2 pieces, and then pull tight. From there, you're going to move over just a little bit, push it through both pieces of felt, run your needle through the hoop, and then pull tight. You're going to continue to do this blanket stitch along the whole edge of that side of the rectangle. Once you get to the corner though, we're going to want to secure everything that we just did. Even though we're not done with our stitch, we want to secure those corner pieces. So we're going to run our needle through both pieces of felt. Then we're going to run our needle through our hoop, not once, but twice. Pull tight to create a knot in the thread. And then from there, we're going to just pivot to the next side. Before I continue the stitch though, I'm going to pull up the base and I'm going to add in some polyfill. By adding in polyfill, it will just give the base something to sit on top of so it doesn't sink into the felt food as I'm stitching. And then once I have my polyfill in there, I'm just making sure that my edges all lined up, that my corners lined up and all my edges before I start my blanket stitch. So from that corner, you're going to pivot to the next side. So you're going to run your needle through both pieces of felt. You're going to run your needle through your hoop, and then you're going to pull tight. And then again, you're just going to move over just a little bit, run your needle through both pieces of felt, run your needle through your hoop, and then pull tight. And you're just making sure that your edges are lining up as you go and that your corners are lining up as well. And then once you get to that end corner, we're going to want to secure everything that we just did. So you're going to run your needle through your hoop, not once, but twice. Pull tight to create a knot in your thread. And then we're going to pivot again to start our blanket stitch along the side of the cake roll. And you're just going to continue to do this along the side and then the next side. But once you get to the last side of the cake roll, you're going to want to stitch maybe halfway. And then you're going to want to stop because we're going to want to add in polyfill before we stitch it completely shut. So once you get about here on the last side, that's a good place to stop and stuff the rest of your cake roll. I didn't get it on video for some reason. So once you have it nice and stuffed though, just continue your blanket stitch to close up the hole. But again, once you get to that corner, we're wanting to secure everything that we just did. So you're wanting to run your needle through both pieces of felt, run your needle through your hoop, not once but twice, then pull tight to create a knot in your thread. And then from here, I usually pivot again and go back through my previous stitches just to kind of secure all those first initial stitches. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just run your needle through your felt food and then cut off the extra. But I like to secure things a little bit more. So after I do 2 to 3 stitches past my first previous stitch, that's when I will run my needle through my hoop again, not once but twice, pull tight, and then run my needle through my felt food and then cut off the extra. And then there we go. We have the base of our cake roll, and now we're going to move on to the whipped cream and the strawberries to put on top. So we're going to take our strawberry template and lay it onto our red felt. We're going to take our disappearing ink pen and outline one circle. One circle will make 2 strawberries, so keep that in mind. Once you have that outline, go ahead and cut it out, and then we'll move forward with making our strawberry. Once you have your circle cut out, we're going to fold it in half like a taco and then cut it in half. Again, one circle makes 2 strawberries, so now you have 2 strawberry pieces. From there, you're going to take one of the pieces and fold it in half again like a triangle. And then we're going to take our needle and thread and start at the tip of the strawberry. You're going to go between the 2 pieces of felt, push it towards the backside of the strawberry, hide your knot at the end of your thread, come up and over the edge, come up between the 2 pieces, pull tight, move over just a little bit, push your needle through both pieces of felt, run your needle through the hoop, and then pull tight. You're going to continue to do your blanket stitch along the edge of the strawberry, connecting it together. Now for me, I don't have enough thread to continue my stitch, and I ran out of red thread when I was doing this tutorial. So when I get to the top or the bottom corner, I'm going to secure everything that I just did by running my needle through my hoop, not once but twice, pull tight, run my needle back through my strawberry and cut off the extra. And then on the next bit of the video, you're going to see me using a pink thread, which is totally fine for the top of the strawberry because you won't see it. But I just wanted to pre-warn you. So if you do have enough red thread, don't do this part. Just continue your stitch. And what you'll do is you'll just go in and out along the top of the strawberry. Someone called it like a dolphin stitch, but you're just weaving in and out, in and out. And you're just going to continue that until you get back to your first initial stitch. But for me, I don't have enough red thread, so I'm going to go back into the strawberry, cut it off, and then I'm going to start a new thread to cinch up the top. So with my new thread, I'm going to start on the inside of my strawberry because I want the knot at the end of my thread on the inside. And here I am just weaving in and out along the top edge of the strawberry. I do, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 weaves before I pull my thread all the way through. And then I continue to work my way along the edge of the strawberry. Once I get back to my first initial stitch, I'm going to start to add polyfill. So I'm going to add polyfill to it till it's nice and firm. And then from there, I'm going to start to stitch that hole closed. So what I'll do is I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm going to run my needle through all those bumps that I just created. And as I'm going, I'm just going to start pulling the thread tighter and tighter. I usually keep my thumb in the middle of the strawberry, so I'm keeping the polyfill in there as I'm closing it up. But once I have it nice and closed, I'm going to want to secure everything that I did. So run your needle through a little bit of felt, run your needle through your hoop, not once but twice, pull tight, create a knot in your thread, and then run your needle through your strawberry and cut off the extra. From there, we're going to work on the seeds of the strawberry. So I'm going in with a white thread. You can use yellow if you want to use yellow or green or whatever. But you're just going in from the bottom of the strawberry, and you're just making little stitches in and out of the felt all the way around the strawberry in different spots. As you're doing this, just make sure that you are pulling your thread tight enough. Sometimes it likes to bubble up and you don't see it until later, but just make sure that you pull it nice and tight as you're making your stitches. And I'm just working my way all the way around the strawberry and just kind of adding stitches into gaps that I see. And then once you're done with your seeds, we're going to want to, of course, secure everything that we just did. So you will, on your last stitch, you're going to flip it over and you're going to push it into the strawberry, but come up towards the bottom of the strawberry. And then run your needle through a little bit of felt, run your needle through your hoop, not once but twice, pull tight to create that knot. And then you're running your thread through the strawberry again and then cutting off the extra. And then from there, we're going to go back and make our second strawberry, do exactly the same thing. And then once we have both of them made, we'll move forward with adding the leaves to the strawberry, which are really easy. No stitching, just gluing them right on top. So for the leaves, we're going to go in with our template. We have two different sizes. We have a big leaf and a small one. So you'll need two of the big X's and then two of the small X's. So I'm going in with my disappearing ink pen and outlining them onto a green felt. And then once you have those outlined, go ahead and cut them out. Now that we have them cut out, we're going to glue them on top of the strawberry. So I'm just going to go in with my glue gun, put some glue right in the center of the strawberry, put the small leaf down first, and then I'm going to go in with my glue gun, put a little bit of glue in the center of that leaf as well, and then overlap the big leaf on top of that. And then you're going to do the same exact thing for the second one. And now we're moving on to the whipped cream. So for the whipped cream, we're going in with our whipped cream template, laying that directly onto a white felt. And we're going to outline with our disappearing ink pen 5 circles. Once you have those 5 circles outlined, go ahead and cut them out, and then we will stitch them together. So we're going to take one circle and we're going to fold it in half like a taco, fold it again like a triangle. And then we're going to place that right on top of another circle, making sure that our edges line up. Then we're going to go in with our needle and thread. We're going to come up from the back side along the tip of the triangle, and we're going to do 2 stitches on the tip. Doesn't need to be pretty. You're not going to see these stitches. It's just securing that top circle to the bottom circle. From there, we're going to go in with our second circle and do the same thing. Fold it in half like a taco, then again like a triangle, and place that directly next to the one that you just stitched. Come up from the back side and make 2 small stitches on the tip of the triangle. Once you're done with that, you're going to continue to do the same exact thing for the 2 remaining circles, connecting the last 2 pieces together. Once you get to that last circle, of course, we're going to want to secure everything that we just did. So you're going to flip it over to the back side. You're going to run your needle through a little bit of felt. Run your needle through your hoop, not once but twice. Pull tight to create a knot in your thread, and then cut off the extra. And then there you go. There is one of your whipped creams. You're going to do the same exact thing for the second one, and then we're going to glue it onto our cake roll. So when it's time to glue on your whipped cream, make sure to face the cake roll towards you so that you can get the whipped cream to be as center as possible and not like crooked. So once you have it placed, you will take your hot glue gun and put some on the back of the whipped cream and then place it directly onto the cake roll and do the same exact thing for the second one. And then once you have those glued on, we'll move on to the strawberries. For the strawberries, I always will glue the seam down so that you don't see it. So you're going to take your glue gun and just put glue in the center of the whipped cream, and then you're going to just place your strawberry right on top of that. And then once you've done the first one, you'll go ahead and glue the second one down. And there you go, you have a Valentine's Day cake roll. You can find this template in my Etsy shop linked in my bio. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.